Okay, I think we are live. So, welcome everybody to our Future Projects Investment Competition. I'm Melissa Slaymaker and I am the ambassador for South Africa for Women in Tech. And we are joined today by Erica Reeves, who's also part of the Women in Tech team and a board member, as well as Milani Mabaso, who's also a board member. We've got Lauren Dallas from Future Females, and obviously our honored guest is Grace Nahodius from Plug and Play. And we wanted to create this event, just collaborating with all these great ladies to highlight some important issues with regards to women investment and why, and also Plug and Play being a great VC and accelerator for companies. They're coming to South Africa, which is a very exciting time, and Grace will tell you a bit more about that. And we've also got some awesome companies that have entered and are finalists to our Picture Project event. And we want to showcase these awesome ladies and women founders and their projects and products that they are bringing to the market. So just in terms of housekeeping, we are, I want to get the judges to obviously get some time to introduce themselves and their companies. And then also there's an opportunity, as this is a live event being streamed on YouTube and on LinkedIn, for the public to ask questions. So please post your questions on those platforms and we will endeavor to answer those. So first and foremost, I mean, so if you can start with Grace, I'm going to spend some time. I want you to tell us more about Plug and Play and all the exciting plans you've got for Plug and Play in South Africa. So Grace, over to you.
Absolutely. I'm just going to share my screen here with you real quickly. All right.
I can see your screen, so
wonderful. So first of all, with Women's Month around the corner, it is a great honor to be working together with Plug and Play founder, Women in Tech South Africa, to put a spotlight on the importance of investing and nurturing in women tech. As briefly described, my name is Grace Logodi, and I'm the Director Country Manager of Plug and Play South Africa. A little bit about Plug and Play overall. We are a Silicon Valley headquartered early stage investor and innovation platform, bringing together an ecosystem of change makers that you see before you on screen, all with the aim of helping new technology get to market faster. In May of this year, we announced plans to expand in South Africa to our 3 core innovation platform categories, namely venture capital, accelerator programs, and corporate innovation. In the next 3 slides, I will go into a little bit of detail on each category, but should you have any further questions afterwards, please feel free to send an email to venturessa@pnptc.com. That's venturessa@pnptc.com. Firstly, with our venture capital arm, and whilst looking at a snapshot of our global investment portfolio before you, as Plug and Play, we have not allowed our ambitions to invest in South African businesses be held hostage by the constraints imposed by COVID-19. We are already accepting proposals of early stage South African businesses that are looking for investment. In rest of Africa, Plug and Play is currently invested in Flutterwave, WorldCover, Healthlane, and Antara Health, amongst others. We currently have over 900 active investments, and almost a dozen have grown to become unicorns, exceeding a $1 billion valuation. In terms of our investment criteria, we are looking to invest in early stage technology startups. must be a minimum viable product that one can demo to us and customers. Most of our current investments are in revenue generating companies with about 10% in pre-revenue. And preference is for sub-Saharan Africa startups with the potential to grow beyond their local market. A strong team expertise in their market. B2B is our main focus, but are open to B2B2C focus, and must show a competitive differentiation and defensibility. And our average check size appetite at the moment in coming to South Africa and sub-Saharan Africa at large is between $50,000 on the low end all the way up to $500,000 on the high end. On the second category, our Startup Business Development Accelerator, we are currently encouraging talented African small businesses with ambitions to become global companies to apply to be a part of one of our international accelerator programs. Startups can benefit from our global reach that consists of over 25,000 startups that they can learn best practices from, 400 major corporate partners that they can do potential pilots and POCs with, and about 180 venture capital firms that we co-invest with on a regular basis. We also engage a number of top-tiered universities, experienced mentors, foundations, as well as governments on our platform. We do all this across the globe at our 36 locations with our over 700 colleagues. Despite this very difficult, unprecedented environment we find ourselves in, we remain steadfast in doing everything we can to support small businesses in these trying times and ensure that entrepreneurs are given the lift they need to become successful. This includes giving them a better chance to build global companies that will spur the South African economy and create the jobs that we so desperately need. I think we all share the same sentiment that entrepreneurs are the engine of our future. On the corporate innovation front, before you are some of the 400 plus corporate partners we work with globally. In coming to South Africa, our focus will be centered around helping corporate South Africa learn how best to work with startups in the execution of their innovation strategies. We continue to be on our drive to partner with at least 5 new South African organizations in helping to sustainably build small businesses and keep innovation in South Africa thriving. And last, but certainly not least about Plug and Play and Plug and Play South Africa, it gives me great fulfillment to be part of an organization that has high on its priorities the support of female founders. Found Her is an initiative created by individuals within Plug and Play who want to better support female founders by building and exposing them to our global network of investors, mentors, and entrepreneurs. We aim to increase opportunities for women in the startup world by providing our resources and building connections through mentorship, education opportunities, and collaborations with the likes of Women in Tech Global and Women in Tech South Africa. So on behalf of Plug and Play Found Her, we look forward to seeing how we can support the female founders presenting here today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Grace. It's really inspirational, and we're so pleased that an organization like Plug and Play has chosen South Africa to expand, their world team. And we're really looking forward to finding out, which companies, over the next few years will have a benefit of your kind of impact. And so next I wanted to speak to Lauren Dallas. Lauren is the co-founder and CEO of Future Females. And so Lauren, I mean, you are also an inspirational leader when it comes to entrepreneurship, and your network alone has already got so many females and CEOs wanting to become entrepreneurs and get investments and be introduced like companies like Plug and Play. So I just want to give you some time as well to share your talk us a bit about Future Females and all the great work that you're doing. So Grace, I'm going to Let's remove you from the screen. And Lauren, you can then share your screen when you're ready.
Thanks, Grace.
Sorry, having some technical difficulties trying to navigate.
Not an issue. I'm actually not sharing a screen, so I can just kick off.
Oh,
not
perfect.
an issue at all. So, hi everyone. I am Lauren Dallas. I am, as Melissa introduced, the co-founder of Future Females, a movement started in Cape Town. So I'm very happy to be here, specifically focused on South African entrepreneurs. We are 3 years old on Monday in 35 cities, and really our mission is very well aligned with women in tech. We exist to increase the number of female entrepreneurs and better support their success, which for us means revenue creation, job creation, and lifestyle creation. I am happy to be here as a judge, working hand in hand with women in tech to drive gender parity. That is the number that gets me and my team and our community out of bed every morning. It's 135 years to reach gender parity in sub-Saharan Africa at the current run rate. So we need to accelerate. It was great hearing about the plug and play accelerators too, because more needs to be done. We need to have women like you building world-class businesses and present on all global stages. That's what I'm working towards. I have been in your shoes though, and I'm speaking to the women who are pitching today, but also the women who are probably tuned in. I know we're on YouTube and LinkedIn right now. I thought I would just give you 3 tips, experience shares from when I was in your shoes. Future Females is a self-funded business, but before that I've actually been an advisor to tech startups seeking funding. So speaking from that context, the 3 things I would say, the first one is just never ever give up. You are going to get so many no's, and that is just the reality of the world, but also obviously the competitive funding space. Take action, take consistent, imperfect action, ask for advice. There's an old adage, and Grace, you can probably jump in and dispute this, but they say, when you ask for advice, you get money. When you ask for money, you get advice. That may not be true, but what's important is get advice from people who are further ahead than you, from the people who hold the purse strings as well, and keep moving forwards, keep optimizing. Do not get stuck. What we see in our community is so many entrepreneurs held back by their mindset. They have everything technically the business needs to thrive, but they're letting themselves get in their way. So have a plan, have accountability, and take all of your no's as learning experiences. The second thing I would say is it's rarely about the idea. It's about how you tell your story. As a founder, you are your salesperson. You're selling every day. You're selling when you do a post on Instagram, even to your personal network. And the best way to sell is to tell a story. So numbers are one thing, one very important thing. That's going to be my 3rd tip. Spoiler. But my 2nd is people are people. Investors are people. Judges on here today are people. And so we first connect on an emotional level. We want to know what is the challenge that you're solving and how. What is the vision you have, the impact you're going to make in the world? And then we want to know on a logical level how you back that up. So if you're sitting there going like, oh, but I offer this, or thinking that through, firstly think like benefits. What is the change you're going to make? And then the how. Simon Sinek's circle, right? The why first always rather than the what. If you don't know what I'm talking about, there is an amazing TED Talk by Simon Sinek that essentially trains founders on how to tell your story in a really compelling way, starting with your why. The 3rd tip is, of course, knowing your numbers. The biggest reason people fail in the early stages is cash flow. And that can be mitigated if you know the right numbers to track from day one. So I have run a business of 20 people that's gone into liquidation because I did not know my numbers and I wasn't forecasting effectively. So I'm speaking from personal experience here. If it's not your jam, then that is the very first thing I would be bringing someone who is an expert in to support you with. Know your cash flow, your profit, and your marketing metrics that lead up to that. Hope those tips are helpful. I know it's just a few minutes, but I'm really happy to have this platform to share with you. I do also have a gift, and I'm excited to offer it to all 3 of the incredible I guess not just founders, but organizations who are pitching today. We at Future Females have developed what we call our Founders Club. It is a digital space where founders connect, collaborate, they access inspiration, of course, a community, coaching, accountability, and the technical and personal development skills they need to succeed. So it is a monthly club, and every month we deep dive our 350 strong community into a particular topic that you need to master in order to keep making progress. So we're going to gift each of the entities pitching today 3 months access into that Founders Club, where I'll also be able to work with you hand in hand. So thank you again so much for involving me.
Thank you. I'm sure that, they're all screaming backstage going, yeah, that's amazing. Thank you. It's such a great gift. Thanks, Lauren. So I'm going to say goodbye to you guys. And I wanted to propose some questions to Erica and to Walani. So, oh, sorry, I've got Kelly on here. Sorry, Kelly, we'll chat to you later. So Erica is the sales director for Gattaca PLC and has worked in technology for many years. How do you think that we as a women in tech organization can basically have an impact with women entrepreneurs and in Africa specifically? And how do you think we can create more of these events? And over to you.
Absolutely.
Walani, we can hear you typing.
Sure. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining us. It's very exciting to be here. And I think, it's such a brilliant opportunity. And I really think from a women in tech perspective, we are so grateful. And part of our mission is to actually just create a platform that women can network, that they can find information, get access to relevant people, because there are so many talented women out there with great ideas. And we really just want to be a small stepping stone in the way to actually provide opportunities for those people and connections so that they know who to leverage, and it can go through one easy channel, and also to get exposed, I think, to the other women that are out there that can possibly give a hand up to those that are coming up through the ranks. So I think from a women in tech perspective, it's a very exciting opportunity for us to be able to provide that platform. And we look to continue working with all of you that are here today, as well as continuing to expand our network and introduce more women to create more opportunities down the line.
Thank you very much, Erica. And Walani, I wanted to ask you specifically, you're obviously very high up in a corporate, you're working for ABSA as an MD, but why do you think it's important for all women to invest in other women? Why do you think it's so important that we're having these kind of events?
Thank you, Melissa. Quite excited to be here today. So I think, today, considering that we're speaking to women entrepreneurs and we've got women entrepreneurs who are pitching, I think it's very important for us to invest in women-owned businesses because, if you look at research, it shows that women mostly create businesses that solve problems, and they focus on doing that with less capital, but with ample experience. You will remember Lauren said that she went and she started her business without much capital, just really proving to be one of those stats that research has indicated to us. The other thing is that women entrepreneurs are creating collaborative and diverse company cultures in every city, which really just shows that we need to really take time as companies, as organizations, to invest in women. The last thing from my side, Melissa, is just the aspect that if you really go and educate a woman and invest in a woman, you actually are teaching a nation. So we need to continue doing that. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, guys. And I'm looking forward to what we as Women in Tech have got in store for the next year and years to come. Some exciting projects that I know are in the pipeline. So if anyone wants to be part of that, then please reach out to myself, Erica, or Walani, or join the Global Movement membership. So we can add more people to this awesome project and movement. So with no further ado, we are going to give the floor to our awesome companies who have our 3 finalists that are pitching their projects. And so first up, we've got a company in Ndovu, and we've got the lovely Radhika Bachu. I hope I said that right. Radhika.
You did, yeah.
You. So over to you. I'm going to just let you share your screen, and then we are going to listen to your awesome pitch. So thank you. I can see your screen.
Perfect. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you so much. So we're Ndovu, and we want to democratize access to financial markets in Africa. So before I tell you about the problem we're looking to solve, I would actually like you to meet our team first. Wana is our CTO, and she's launched MVPs at startups and scaled digital products at Zalando, a rocket internet company. Ro, who's a chief commercial officer, has designed and launched multiple investment products whilst working at the Nairobi Securities Exchange, including M-Akiba, the first mobile-based government bond in the world. And my name is Radhika. I'm your CEO, and I worked at BlackRock advising clients on how to invest so they can create better financial futures. Together, we have the right mix of skills to make our vision of improving financial lives across Africa a success. So when I moved back to Kenya, I was keen to invest my savings in products that would earn me both growth and income. However, I experienced a lot of friction when searching for the right investment product. I found that the process was really annoying because of the large amount of paperwork required to invest, and there was no accurate data on investment performance, and I couldn't compare investment options. I also learned that the minimums to invest in these funds were really high. I wanted to then further understand why is this process so cumbersome, and I uncovered that there is currently $85 billion sitting in African savings accounts earning low returns. So we went out, we surveyed 150 young professionals to learn why do savings sit in cash, and the findings shown on the slide show that they were very similar to my frustrations that I experienced. So Ndovu is a micro-investing platform that provides easy access to African financial markets. So how does it work? Ndovu is your financial advisor. You tell us about your financial goals. We ask you a series of questions to determine your risk appetite. And then using the information, we create a bespoke strategy and then connect you to the best in-class mutual funds. So you can then start investing and then you start earning a return. But what's really great about our product is that throughout the journey, you're actually learning as Ndovu provides you educational content to improve your understanding of the markets. In the back end, when a customer chooses a mutual fund, the money is sent directly to the fund manager's account. And once the money is invested, the fund manager then does the reporting, looks after you on a day-to-day basis. Looking at our target customers, these are millennials from the ages of 24 to 40 years. They're tech savvy, in touch with global trends, and we know that they're actively looking to grow their wealth. There are currently 450 millennials in Africa and 12 million in Kenya. Based on our target customers who can invest as low as $15 per month, our serviceable market across sub-Saharan Africa is 8.5 billion. We have initially set up in Kenya, and we will acquire 200 million in 5 years. And in order to achieve this, we need to onboard 240,000 accounts, which is 2% of our target customers in Kenya. Later on, through a continental expansion, we will acquire 1.5 billion in sub-Saharan Africa in 5 years. And what's really great about our customer segment is that, according to a World Bank report, Africa's working age population is expected to grow by 70% by 2035, which means our customer segment will continue to grow. So why is now the right time for our solution? So firstly, according to a Burnmark report, the global digital wealth industry is expected to grow by 470% by 2022. And we all know Africa is yet to experience this growth. Secondly, Africa is the world's youngest continent, with 60% of its population below the ages of 25. And we know that there's been increased internet penetration with over 525 million users. Lastly, COVID has had an accelerated impact on the digital adoption across Africa. Our business model is a B2B2C, which has 2 revenue streams. So Ndovu earns 1% commission from fund managers on the value of the investment, and we also earn 20% annually as an account management fee per client. Looking at our unit economics, we earn around $100 per customer each year, and taking into account all our costs, we have a healthy contribution margin of 68%. We are conscious to keep our development costs low by developing our own tech. And in order to break even on a monthly basis, we need to onboard 94 clients. Our go-to-market strategy is as follows. So what's really exciting is that we've already acquired our first 100 customers through our Founders Network, and we will acquire the next 1,000 customers through business communities. And as we grow, we will use growth hacking strategies such as referral strategies and offering our solution as an employee benefit. So our research has shown that referral strategies have led to strong customer acquisition. And according to a Wealthfront CEO, so similar product in the US, 15% of people who are invited to join the platform take up the offer. And we also know that the employee benefit strategy has worked really well for Stashaway, a robo-advisor in Singapore. And at present, 20% of their revenue comes from this channel. To scale, we will go through distribution partners such as fintechs, digital media, and education institutions. So we actually put our go-to-market strategies in play because one thing we've learned about a startup is you need to test, fail, test, pivot. So we put our strategies into play, and we ran an early access campaign where we asked our customers that once Undovu launches, how much would you be willing to commit once we launch? And to date, we have a commitment of over $100,000. And what we're really excited to share today is that on Monday, we launched our first pilot project with Apollo Investments, and they are a well-known investment manager in Kenya. And we have onboarded 8 customers, investing $2,200 and generating $182 in revenue at the end of year 1. We have a healthy pipeline, and we do expect our numbers to grow significantly, and we'll be using our go-to-market strategies. So on the institutional side, we've signed up Microsoft, which employs 100 millennials and will distribute our solution as an employee perk. We also recognize that among Kenyans and professionals and Africans, actually, a lot of professionals use saving institutions such as credit unions, and you might be familiar with these cooperative financial institutions in South Africa. And we've got a pipeline of 27,000 members through an institution called Quora in Kenya to target. We've also signed up 2 women communities because studies show that women in Africa are better at saving than men. If we were to combine our distribution partners we have signed up, this will allow us to target 31,000 customers. And we truly believe that using distribution partners will allow us to scale quickly whilst keeping our customer acquisition costs low. In addition to Apollo, with whom we're already running a pilot, we're talking to 4 local fund managers, and we are confident that we'll be able to sign 2 more by the end of August. In terms of competition, we've mapped our competition in Africa on this slide. So there are many players in the market, but our validation confirmed that these players are not necessarily meeting customer needs. Undovu provides benefits such as investment suitability through providing advice. We charge lower fees so that our customers can enjoy higher returns, which are features or benefits that set us apart. In terms of our moat or defensibility, in Kenya in particular, we have our first mover advantage. We are set up to easily integrate with fund manager systems, which makes our onboarding with fund managers easier. And also the team, we bring extensive domain expertise to the table. Our ask today is to raise $150,000 for 10% equity, giving us a runway of 18 months. This funding will allow us to onboard 40,000 customers, generating revenues of 1.8 million. And this will also allow us to expand into East Africa and add other product offerings such as global offerings. Our end game is essentially to be bought by a global player in 7 years' time. Thank you very much, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Radhika. Thank you very much. I really enjoyed your presentation. I'm also going to add Ohana. She's the product owner for Undovu.
Hi, everyone.
And I would like to, first of all, ask a couple of questions from the public that's come in from our live stream. And then I will ask for some questions from the judges as well. So that we've got 2 questions so far that's come in. One is from Rodney. He's asking for Radhika. Ndova is very interesting as a concept. So he says, besides mutual funds, does it also provide access to direct equity investments?
So that's a great question. Thank you, Rodney. So that is something that we're looking to do in our future pipeline. So it's one of the actions on our roadmap. At this stage, the low-hanging fruit for us were mutual funds, but we definitely have visions of putting global ETFs as well as fractional trading, which is trading with shares in the near term. And once we get funding, that's something we will be able to achieve.
Thank you. And one more question from Gaurav. He's asked, what would be the main driver of your customer acquisition costs?
I can take this one. While doing our market research, we realized that a big factor in acquiring customers is education. If people understand how investments work and what's the mechanism behind them, they will have the confidence to start investing. So instead of just throwing marketing ads at people, we know that we want to invest in education. We want to provide educational content on investments that's easy to understand and that resonates with millennials, and that's where we spend most of our marketing budget.
Okay, perfect. So, Grace, have you got any questions for Ndovu so far?
Yeah, so just two quick questions on my side. I think one, just wondering if you could elaborate on the point that you referred to on your easeability of scale. So you've mentioned rest of East Africa. So wanted to know just how you can scale, for example, South Africa or rest of Sub-Saharan Africa. And the second one is why you want to exit so soon? Why is the exit strategy?
Well, great questions. Thank you, Grace. So the first one, so in terms of scalability, we did a lot of research, and a lot of investment platforms like ourselves have to actually get a lot of regulation in order to move into different areas. But at the moment, the way we're structured, because we're not handling any cash, all the money goes to the fund manager. We don't need to be regulated because we're able, especially in Kenya, to write off the licenses or regulation licensings from the existing fund managers. We have done a bit of research to look at East Africa. We looked in particular at Uganda, and that's the same situation. So we're able to, again, write off the licenses. And I'm sure you're very familiar that even though people say getting licenses in the investment space is easy, sometimes it can take a really long time. And initially, we did pivot. To give you a bit of color, we did want to get a license, but actually we realized there's an easier way to first increase traction, build a customer trust with customers as well, and then eventually, if we want to get a license and grow, add more different product streams to our business, we can. And then in terms of the exit, it's a great question, isn't it? You're asking me about 7 years in the future. Ideally, I think what we as a team want to do is actually educate everybody around in Kenya, bring the education, and hopefully we will get to a position in 7 years where actually we've made an impact, and now we would need somebody bigger to make even further impact. And that is the idea behind the exit. But I mean, no one knows what's going to happen in 7 years. Thank you.
Lauren, do you have any questions for Ndovu?
Sorry, I'm sitting on mute. I do, absolutely. Thank you so much for that presentation. Really, really comprehensive. My question is around, you did speak about acquisition and the different channels that you're going to be using for that, but you didn't touch on retention, which I would say is an equally important part of a business model. Could you explain your strategy around that a little bit?
Yeah, sure.
Go for it.
Yeah, so while looking at other wealth manager apps around the world, we saw that retention is a little bit of a special thing with investments, because usually when you invest your money, you have a long-term goal. This means you will keep your money invested for some time, depending on the goal you're trying to achieve. So from the beginning, investment apps come with a longer retention rate. At the same time, something else that we learned while talking to founders of apps similar to ours, but in other markets, was the fact that you need to build trust so that people stay with you. And nowadays with millennials, you build trust by being transparent about how you make money, who are the people behind the company, but also by providing transparency on on like having an efficient communication, being transparent with the ups and downs and so on. We see the robo-advisors that had to go through the COVID crisis today, and we saw them reacting really well. We're explaining to customers why should they stay invested through the crisis and so on, and we plan to have the same kind of communication.
And then I just wanted to add one more thing. What we're thinking in terms of our strategy as well is to really figure out how we can make our investment platform more social and more and add an element of gamification, because we know as millennials that we love those features, and we're really just testing currently how we can do that and see what works, what sticks essentially, and then hopefully that would also lead to increased retention.
Okay, great. Do I have time for another question? Melissa? Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So my second question, I've actually had some experience working with a microfinancing app based out of South Africa. And one of the challenges they faced is when they started working with one of the major banking institutions, they were not then able to work with any of their competitors. Have you thought about that and how you'll mitigate it?
Yes, we have. So before we pivoted to this model, we actually were talking to large banks in Kenya, and one of the key things they say is they want you to be a sole partnership with them. But what we're doing at the moment is down to our business model, because we are connecting, we are not linked to any particular fund manager in particular. What we want to make sure is that when people come onto our platform, the fund that they're looking to invest in is the right suitable fund for them at that time of their journey. So our business model and vision is not to partner with one particular bank. I know it's a great way to create trust, but we also think it comes with its negatives and challenges around that. So for us, it's very important to create this safe community where we all are working at the best, or we're fiduciaries to our clients. And that means that all the fund managers and institutions we bring on board, we go through an investment committee review every 3 months to make sure that the fund managers are doing what they're saying on the tin, and they're not just investing responsibly. So it's a great question. Our business vision and our in-house company philosophy is to actually do what's right by for our clients, and therefore we will, even though there's a short-term gain when partnering with banks who want exclusivity, that's something that we try our best to negotiate so that we can actually have that open. But yeah, I hope, yeah.
Thank you.
And any other questions? We also can answer any questions coming in at the end of the Picture Project's kind of final time. So we're giving everyone about 5 minutes for question times just after their pitches. So I would like to move on to the next presenter. So bye, Ndovu. It was lovely having you. So the next lovely company that's going to be pitching their project is Young MD, Lerato Katle. Hi, Lerato. How are you?
Hi, Melissa. I'm well, thanks. And how are you? Thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome. I'll let you share your screen, and then we're going to have you listen to your pitch. So when you're ready, I can see it. So your screen is shared, so you can go. You've got your 10 minutes.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon to the Women in Tech delegation, the Plug and Play delegation, and the audience at large. I am Dr. Lerato Katle, the founder and CEO of Young Medical Doctor, and it is my distinct honor and pleasure to introduce you to Healer, our app-based IT solution that enables healthcare through smart integration. I thought it would be wise to start off by explaining how a frontline healthcare worker like myself functions more like a tech hacker. And that's an intentional play on those words, because I think there are powerful parallels that can be drawn. I spent 6 years in undergraduate medical school learning the normal functions and processes of the human body so I could correctly identify pathology. Similarly, a tech hacker needs to know the system in which they're operating so that they can interrupt it and corrupt it with a bug or a virus. All over the world today, healthcare systems are facing an intruder. COVID-19 has come to question the integrity of design of every healthcare setting in the world. Clinicians, global leaders, and even normal civilians have been exposed to the reality of the dysfunctions facing them. And here at Young MD, we believe in the power of innovation to equally disrupt and interrupt dysfunctional healthcare systems. And that is what HEALA does. South African healthcare is faced by challenges that are not unique to our context. All over the world, healthcare systems are navigating issues of access, quality, and cost. And in the healthcare setting, we use something called the iron triangle of healthcare to define the relationship between all of them. And the triangle implies that anytime innovations or strategies are implied to improve two of them, one will be adversely affected. We see that play out so powerfully in the relationship between a public and a private healthcare sector. Private healthcare has a strategic mandate to improve and that drives the cost of healthcare. While public healthcare settings are forced to provide access to the broader population at a cost that's more affordable, but that also decreases the quality. And in South Africa in particular, we see that at play. 84% of our population has access to healthcare through the public sector. That's 47 million people, while 16% can afford funded healthcare. When you actually look at the expenditure between the two, you find that it's equal, with almost 50% of the expenditure in the private sector being spent in the public sector as well. Other issues facing our context are quality, and those are ridden by prolonged waiting times, adverse events, poor hygiene, poor infection control measures, increased litigation because of avoidable errors, shortages of resources in medication and equipment, and poor record keeping. The World Bank also gives us access to data about the access issues we find in our context. They suggest that 0.9 out of 1,000 people have access to a physician or even a nurse. When you look at community healthcare workers, that's worse, 0.2. And if you look at the infrastructure available, 2.8 beds per 1,000 people. Now, I know I've spent a long time painting a really grim picture of the context of South African healthcare, but what I really want you to notice is that many of these issues actually affect the secondary user in our healthcare system. And that's also what HEALA has come to do, is to define healthcare by the experiences of the primary user, the clinician, the emergency personnel, the insurer, so that we enable an integrated and innovative healthcare environment. And I'd like to suggest to you all that this model is not new, that if we look at the human body and the way it operates, we can draw parallels that can be powerful to transforming healthcare sectors as a whole. If you put a neurosurgeon and a cardiothoracic surgeon in a room together, so a heart doctor and a brain doctor, and got them to agree about which is the most important organ in the body, you would find that they would go back and forth about their vital organ being the most important. But you could certainly get them to agree on the fact that while both these organs are powerful on their own, they cannot exist outside of the intricate ecosystem that exists as the human body, enabling you to walk and run and breathe spontaneously as you listen to me now. Yet while healthcare workers, first-degree users know these facts, they are often plagued by healthcare systems that aren't designed to mimic this level of integration. In our context, we have a public sector and a private sector that operate in parallel, trying to manage the issues of access, quality, and cost. And if you insert the primary user, that healthcare worker, you start to build a more challenging relationship. So this parallel system becomes a ladder where you encourage the resource to climb up that ladder and rather provide their services in a public sector, in a private sector, as opposed to a public sector. And those are the issues that HEALA has also come to disrupt and interrupt. We are suggesting that the model needs to change from a unidirectional ladder, encouraging the resources of healthcare to remove themselves from the heavily burdened public sectors, to a bridge that provides an opportunity for anybody who provides a service of healthcare to vacillate between the public and the private sector, and enable a powerful healthcare system for both patients in either cohort. And this is what HEALA does. You can think of us as the skeleton, a framework that can be used in any market, and allowing those specific healthcare contexts to define what makes their healthcare system valuable, managing the issues of cost, access, and quality as they deem necessary. Imagine with me for a moment that you are going to consult a doctor in this challenging time in the world. You might be worried that you have COVID. And when you get there, you find someone who's concerned that they've sprained their knee or broken their leg. Imagine being able to experience this as a secondary user, having your clinician engage you from the palm of their hand with integrated resources, so that your next touch point in the healthcare sector facilitates your journey more easily. You don't have to worry about remembering a script. You don't have to worry about remembering your patient data, because that's the depth of integration we want to provide. And we do this by ensuring that we organize the system in a structured way. We look at working with hospital workflow and service integration, biometric authentication, blockchain technology, big data so we can continue to analyze and flesh out the issues of access, quality, and cost in whatever healthcare setting. Geo-targeting, so we can also disrupt the remuneration strategies that are often employed to provide the services of healthcare. And more importantly, we are noticing now in the COVID crisis the relevance of making sure that clinicians and first-degree users of any healthcare system are well supported. We also have a strategic mandate to make sure that rural healthcare is well supported. And this, we are finding, is a mandate for many healthcare contexts in the developing world. This becomes a powerful portal to providing universal healthcare. I do not do this work alone. I'd like to introduce you to our dream team, the people who move the engine of YoungMD. Many of them are clinicians themselves, interested in surgical and non-surgical disciplines, but help us engage our market on a day-to-day through our mentorship strategies, our orientation solutions, which are other parts of the business that I'm not presenting here today. We also use the resource of people who care about healthcare and want to ensure that the healthcare services provided across the public and the private sector are well enabled, legal services and procurement experts. Everybody who I'm showing you here today believes in the founding phrase of this organization, daring to be great. When I founded this organization, I had one conviction, and the conviction was that we cannot possibly expect to assist people in their journeys towards healing if we are comfortable with the dysfunction of our service. COVID-19 has exposed the globe. I, as a clinician, am uncomfortable with the level of service we are providing because of the lack of integration. I firmly believe that dysfunction is ripe soil for innovation. And if we can define the problems, we can innovate to create the solution. Thank you for your time. I'm happy to take questions.
Thank you so much, Lorato. You clearly have so much passion around your products and your company, and it's just so inspirational. So I'm going to ask again the judges to ask any questions and for you. And then Rolani, if you want to join, and I'll remove myself if you've got any questions for.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity. Any questions?
Hi, yeah, I'm happy to give it a first go. So, Lorato, yeah, first, great presentation. And yeah, it's good to see that you're, trying to meet a very, like a few of, huge needs within the healthcare system in South Africa. And one of them that really is close to my heart in particular is this is the rural health support that you spoke of. So especially when, in the wake of COVID-19, how does your platform, how does that help provide access for rural people to still have healthcare access? Just given with COVID-19, they can't even, they don't really have as much liberty to go to the hospital or get medical help if it's not COVID related. So just how does your platform help the rural healthcare support?
Sure. Thank you so much for that question. So our model is really designed on virtual capacities. Other elements of our business that I touched on were things like mentorship and virtual orientation for that first degree user as well. So how we empower the rural space is by directly empowering the clinicians who are found in the rural setting. To your point, South African healthcare is deeply disempowered as it pertains to specialist clinicians, for example, who find themselves immersed in rural settings. Yet there are junior clinicians constantly providing a substandard standard of care to those people. So we provide platforms for those doctors to integrate with seniors in forms of mentorship, but then obviously our design is also B2B. So that skeleton just fleshes out an opportunity where anybody who uses virtual platforms is interested in providing virtual care could connect clinicians to that, could connect clinicians as a point of contact to people in rural healthcare so that they experience healthcare more efficiently. Some of the biometric things we also want to do, empower that space, because one of the challenges facing rural healthcare is disintegrated information. So people might move between rule settings and systems to get better healthcare. And what we do is empower clinicians in those spaces to be well informed about the journey of the patient, so that anybody in any point of their patient care can provide the best quality healthcare to that patient.
Got it. And then I guess last question from my side. I just wanted to get a little bit more clarity on your business model. So with the different pockets that you provide, how are you funding?
So our business model currently, we're looking to working with licensing agreements with the greater partners. So I would think there are two levels. There's the first degree users that I spoke about, so the people who actually engage the product, and the second degree users who would actually be benefited by mitigation of the issues in access, quality, and cost. So those are insurers, those are governments. And our aim is to provide a skeleton where they can be licensed into it as a point of contact for the clinician, but also to be able to integrate the entire system from an information sharing perspective.
Okay.
Great.
Thank
I'll
you.
give it a go. Lerato,
Thank
I
you.
love your energy. Thank you for your presentation. Really, really a lot of passion coming through there. I've got two questions for you, and I'll start with the first one. You mentioned in your presentation that you're going to use blockchain technology. Can you just explain a little bit there how you are going to integrate that? That's the first one. Then the second one, I mean, South Africa right now is talking a lot about NHI. What do you think that's going to impact? How is that going to impact your business and your model going forward?
Okay. I'm going to start with the second one, if you don't mind. So
Go
to
for
your
it.
point, South African healthcare is actually looking to universal healthcare. But if you look at our current structure, we don't have anything that integrates. So even if we go to a universal healthcare model, how will you get the clinician to integrate smoothly between the public and the private sector? And like I said when I described it, there are these two parallel systems, and we are a point of transition. So I don't see a point where we are disabled, but actually more empowered as a facilitator of that type of environment, where patients can access healthcare, but those who are first degree users, funders, and even governments can understand what's happening in the healthcare system. And those are things that nobody's really looking to design. Insurers are enhancing their products, governments are trying to meet the needs of their people, and there's nobody who's coming together to pull the entire thing so that we can provide universal healthcare. And as it pertains to blockchain technology, obviously that's a science that's used more in the banking industry, trying to protect information of the people. That's essential in healthcare services as well. If you think about this network, there are multiple clinicians, for example, the doctor, the nurse, the pharmacist, who may have access to a patient's information. And in the patient journey, that's not always necessary. That blockchain technology is going to be used to mitigate people who shouldn't have access to certain types of information not having that type of access, so that we also protect our patients and enable a more secure environment.
Great, thank you.
Great. Hi, Lerato. Thank you so much for that. I do have one, I'll ask one question, and that is, I understand your ladder. I think I understand your ladder. And I think the value proposition to the public sector is very clear. But what is the value proposition to the private sector in allocating resources?
Love that question. So I've had the privilege of actually working in insurance in the public sector more, in the private sector more recently. And I've also come to understand that they too have similar issues. They're just less perpetuated. So what that ladder does is actually it empowers the first degree user. Doctors in the private sector also are quite stranded and being forced by insurers to manage remuneration and capitation models. And they often feel like they actually don't have access to managing their patients. So we empower the clinician to not choose an end, but to go and be the clinician and serve either side. And we disrupt with the remuneration strategies we have in the pipeline that still see them as the asset, earning at the potential they deserve, but managing and mitigating the costs because we're bringing them into one pool. I think the big thing is about dynamic what access to healthcare means. It can no longer mean the patient going to the doctor coming to the patient. There needs to be a happy middle where the resource of healthcare can move in between and provide healthcare to the broader public.
Thank you. I do have a second question, and that is around data integrity, which you've touched on. But if I reflect on when Australia moved to like one central public health record, there was a lot of backlash with people not wanting their history to be available to different physicians. Have you thought about how to combat that?
Absolutely. I think it's something that also we need to take in its stages, because unlike Australia, where the population is much more educated, our population, the greater majority that is being served by the public sector, that is rural health, don't always have the privilege of access to even basic IT. So their struggles are a little bit different. I worked in rural health in Mafeking, and I found that part of the challenges of providing healthcare were patients who weren't empowered about their own diagnosis alone. So I think what this empowers in our environment is the opportunity to assist the patient in their journey to understanding their illnesses and managing them. And definitely that we need to make sure that clinicians are provided with that information at their point of care. So that's why, like I said, we won't give the pharmacist access to everything. We'll give it to the treating specialists, and making sure that even accountability is a strong portal for this. So making sure that it's licensed professionals who are registered with the councils, who have access to this information. And it also becomes a strong strategy for accountability. You know, we can see the doctor who prescribed it correctly. We can see the clinician who didn't do the best service to the patient. And so I think that's how we manage those things. I hope I've answered your question.
Absolutely. Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much.
I see Melissa was trying to come back in there. I think I think our time is up.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yeah, it was a great pitch, great presentation. Thank you very much.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to take over for Melissa now, because she's actually struggling to get her internet up and running. So who is the next one that we're going to have? I'll remove Lorado. Thank you so much for your time. And can I just know who the next person that we're adding here?
I believe
I'll add Erica to see if she knows. Erica, you're on mute.
Yes.
I believe it's Kele Mokoto for you, bro.
Kela? Okay.
Hi guys, sorry I've had rather been some technical difficulties. Sorry about that.
I'll remove myself.
I'll just remove Lauren. Thank you for all the questions. Hi Kelly, how are you today? Sorry about that. We've got a bit of live with some issues, but I would like to present Kelly, who is the CEO of YouGrow. Kelly, how are you today?
I'm good, thank you. And congratulations to all the other ladies, wonderful presentations. And thank you for the opportunity.
You're very welcome. I'm really looking forward to your presentation. So please, I'm going to share your screen and then it's over to you. So
thank you. Can you see my screen, Melissa?
I can see your screen, so you can start presenting.
Perfect, thank you. So I grew up with a deep understanding of my capabilities, knowing that I could achieve anything. This was driven primarily by a personal experience, in fact, two. One, that I had a sister who was physically disabled, so she couldn't walk nor talk. And so through her life, I really understood my abilities, at least physically. At 4 years old, I really started to have a real interest in human potential. Then I went to a girls' school. And then obviously in a girls' school, we were taught to believe that we really could create the world of our imagination and that we could really be anything that we wanted to be. So I came into the working world with an expectation of what I wanted to achieve and also with an understanding of my capabilities and what I had to contribute, only to find that the world was not ready for a girl like me. However, my life-defining moments really helped me shape, I guess, my mindset with regards to how to navigate a very complex environment, one that was rife with structural biases. Despite that all, I was able to rise up and I was managing director of a global management consulting firm. Also had the privilege of serving on the board of Accenture. However, I was really I had discomfort with regards to the traction that we were making with regards to driving gender equality and actually creating a critical mass of female talent. We were struggling with this, and actually was something that was not just a struggle of our organizations, but of many. Also, when talking to my peers that were senior, it was quite apparent that it was really difficult to navigate, but still once there to really maintain your position within the working place. So I really had a deep interest around how do I make it easier for those coming behind me. I had the privilege of working with a lot of female talent in the organization, but just really felt that wasn't enough. I guess it's the true feminist within me that really wanted to see a world where really all of us were in the spaces that we wanted to be in. So I guess that, and as well as my love for human potential to really see women thrive, was something that was really deep in my heart. However, I got to learn that the problem that I was facing in the workplace was one that was just not unique to myself. In fact, it's a global problem that the World Economic Forum talks about. It's going to take 257 years to close the economic gender gap. And in fact, this measure is regressing when you look at all the other measures that the World Economic Forum tracks with regards to health, education, and political participation. So this problem, I was quite interested to see that it's not one that's just unique to myself and my context. Also, in terms of why we're quite excited about this as you grow, in terms of tackling this, believing that with technology, we really can challenge the status quo. It's a problem that has global attention. From an investment perspective, where we see Melinda Gates talk about how she's going to be investing over the next few years into expanding female power and influence. And for us, really, this aligns with our massive transformative purpose, which is how we can bend history backwards and close the economic gender gap in our lifetimes, because we really believe that equality can't wait and the time is now. When you look at all the investment that's taken place globally, it's a pity that really we're not making the traction. And in fact, most of the inclusion and diversity programs are seen to be failing, and that's widely documented, despite the business case with regards to having female representation around that companies that do are able to return 34% more to shareholders than those that don't. And so for us, we really believe that with technology, we can apply ourselves in a way that really can help to scale, but also look at the problem from a different angle. And that's why we spend the last 2 years with my business partner immersing ourselves in really wanting to understand what are the barriers that are keeping women from not really closing the gender economic gap, knowing that we struggle with issues such as the leaky pipeline, where you've built some critical mass, yet you're not getting the pull through. I think in South Africa alone, we have on the JSE, one female CEO on the JSE 40, and then globally on Fortune 500, we sit with 6% of female representation. So we immersed ourselves in the problem. We surveyed about 500 women and really spent time wanting to design something that met the human need, but architected around the barriers that were coming out. And we'd hear, and this, by the way, across levels, that women were saying they felt that their growth was unguided. They didn't know where to start. They felt stuck and really struggling with momentum and staying the course, as well as just having that kind of role model with regards to helping them think through their careers. What we also found, what was interesting, was that women were saying to us, they don't get to get involved in work that matters in their organization, or at least work that really has the visibility and the sponsorship that really seem to be moving the dial when it comes to really making an impact on their organization. So our platform really looks at two key pillars. One around how do we help transform yourself, knowing that mindset is critical, and helping women to really understand how to navigate the work environment, but really based on personalization, given the fact that we all start from different places and having to understand what it is that you need to transform. And also providing an opportunity for women to really contribute to high impact goals of their organizations through an innovative process that we have worked on with a global partner. So we believe that through our platform, we really are able to go from where we are today, where globally there is an ambition around closing the economic gender gap, to reaching that through the YouGrow platform, which is a behavioral tech platform for women that enables growth through personalized micro actions and high impact coaching and a support network. And I just want to show you how it is that we work. differentiates us is our approach to growth in terms of putting the woman at the heart of our design. First of all, our proprietary growth engine, we wanted to really demystify the whole notion of growth and really bring light to what is the archetype of somebody who's driving growth, with a focus on 6 dimensions that we worked with our behavioral psychologists to really assess for. So the growth index helps you understand where you are, and then we create a personalized development journey with dynamic growth actions that are delivered daily based on where you are. Our high impact support, we know the African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. And if you want to go further, go together. So we match our members to coaches that have the brand permission to help them drive and think through their growth. Most of our coaches actually have been in the corporate space and therefore really have that brand permission to help women grow. We connect our members to tribes. Tribe is really your accountability network that stays with you on your journey as you drive growth on the platform. Personalized content, we know that we live in an age of really attention deficit where everybody's always on. Our content is highly personalized, highly contextualized to where you are on your journey, and really keeps you interested. And in fact, we liken it to coming back to your Pinterest board around really what is it that's helping you to drive growth. In terms of our goal monitoring, we really keep honest with you understanding what are the things that you need to do in order to close your high impact goal, knowing that goals are achieved through micro actions and not through a big event, and really keeping that engagement exciting, and also rewarding the milestones, because we know that anything with regards to behavioral change, incentivizations are key. With regards to our transform your organization pillar, our global partnership with EXO Works is really something that we're extremely proud of, where they're really excited about our massive transformative purpose, where they said they really are keen to work with us as we look at how do we enable women and provide the space for women and organizations to really unearth innovation opportunities and help to really drive their organizations in a way in which they really can have the seat at the table and be involved in work that really matters with the right visibility and sponsorship. Our business model is a scalable one, where it's a subscription-based model for organization in terms of the year, and with a break even with 2 clients. And really, it's a B2B model where we've actively gone on to work with clients that have a global presence so that we can leverage their presence. And this is something that really we believe that has had companies such as Accenture and Hollard who are interested and want to work with YouGrow, saying that they believe that the way in which we've approached the problem helps them to achieve scale, and also really is interesting in terms of how it supports their pillars with regards to driving growth for women in the corporates. We have a very interesting team and an exciting team, and very, a very experienced team. And this team is Yolanda and myself met at Accenture 15 years ago. We have a professional respect for each other. And over the years, we've become really dear friends, but she's worked across the continent. She has delivered exceptional work in the talent transformation space and has a reputation across these global brands that she supported in the continent. And therefore, her execution capabilities really lend her the right role in terms of being the CEO for this business. We have Karen Miller, who worked with us in developing our growth index. She's an industrial psychologist with 25 years experience, and she really brought about our ability to create the efficacy of our growth engine, and as we tested it across 400 women. We have Nerissa Naidu, who sits in the US, helping us think about how do we think about expansion in terms of our business market of expansion, as well as Marjorie, who is the actuary on the team. And she's really helping us think as we grow, as this is a data business, what are really the analytics use cases that we can apply to enrich the member experience. And saving the gents for last, we've got Sfiso Shabalala, who is our technology advisor. And really, he's been always looking at our solution to ensure that it's scalable, to ensure that it's secure, and ensure that it really will help us achieve the ambitions that we have, which is really to close the gender economic gap for women. And so that is YouGrow. And while we call it you, we believe that you as women are the one who's going to close is the one who is the bridge to closing the gap. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kelly. I loved your presentation, and I think it's a very relevant product for all women, whether you're in a corporate or smaller company or, just looking to grow yourself individually. So I'd like to invite back Grace and also Lauren to ask some questions for Kelly and for YouGrow. And this time, Erica, if you're up for some more questions, I'll add you as well to see if, any questions to Kelly.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can start with one. So Firstly, thank you so much. That resonates with me, not just on a Future Females level, but as you know, I was also at Accenture, so very relevant experience and a really transformational product. My question is, obviously, a large part of women's progression in the organization is not their personal development. It's rather shifting the organizational culture, providing pathways, mentors, champions. How have you considered that in terms of driving this impact?
Yeah. In fact, you know, most organizations have, I guess, policies in place in terms of driving this progression, yet we're not seeing the traction. And so for us, our hypothesis was that you need both approaches. But our micro approach was that start with the women to help her know how to navigate, because I think the structural biases are not going anywhere anytime soon. They're quite institutionalized. Although that there is visibility around the issue, they still remain. And so knowing how to navigate is really for us where the game is at, in terms of how do you build mental resilience? How do you ensure that you get deep self-belief? How do you really create a construct around you that helps you to navigate in a support system? So both are needed, Lauren. However, we really approach it, as I mentioned, from the human element of how we drive this change.
Great, thank you.
Kelly, from my side, I think really just a big shout out to yourself and the previous two ladies. I think listening to all three of you, I actually had goosebumps because it's like so inspiring. So really thank you to all three of you for the amazing task that you've and the great insights that you provided for us today, which is really, really not only inspiring, but I think it just gives us such hope for the future. And I think for me listening to these things, I mean, I would be only too happy to use parts of these in my own daily life. So really, thank you for that. The one thing that I do want to ask you, pleasure. The one thing I do want to ask you is, in your journey so far, what has been that moment of truth where you've kind of go, yes, that's what we want to do, and this is why we want to do it, and this is how we're going to do it. What was that sort of turning point for you?
Yeah, for us, it was always been around creating a product that we wish existed when we entered the working world. To help us navigate. And so having walked the journey, how do we make it easier for everybody else? I think because we spend so much time in deep, immersive research with women, when we built this, we wanted to make sure that it's not just an idea that we think is a great idea. We then spent time with 500 women across Africa, really asking the question deeply as to what is it that is you believe could enable you to really break barriers. And having got that research, we then kind of created this growth index and then tested it again. And what was really profound for us was when we actually administered the growth index and women came back before we even gave them the insights, was taking this diagnostic was really a deep exercise. These were the words that were used. It was a deep exercise. I now realize where I'm stuck. I now know what I need to do. It was just really an insightful moment throughout the journey, and a humbling one where people would respond to say, I love it. But what was really interesting was when men, because we, obviously some of our chain, we've got guys who've been helping us build the product, saying, I want to be part of this, and having to say, you know what, actually, this is actually specifically for females because we've got a task on our hands. So it's been humbling from the response, but also meeting the human need has been something that really touches my heart, at least. And I'm very glad to walk this journey to the point where I left my job because I really believe that we've got to really redress and do something amazing in the space.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that. I appreciate it. Over to you, Grace.
Thanks, Erica. I guess firstly, Gela, I echo all the sentiments that Erica and Lauren has, and to all the women that presented today. You guys really very, very good quality presentations, and you're solving for some very important needs in the market. And I guess the question that I had for you in particular, Gele, so your revenue model for me is very clear. It's B2B, it's a subscription model. So you ideally would go to all the corporates and have them sort of sign up, and it would be almost like a benefit for all the women employees in their organization. Correct? So that's very clear. Then I just wanted to understand on the back end, in terms of your overheads. So it's mainly your mentors, your coaches, the tribes. How do you go about sourcing them? What is the agreements that you have with them? So that was the one question. And then the second question was just, you mentioned something about minimum 24 members. It just wasn't clear members from which side.
Correct. So basically, our behind the scene in terms of our cost structures, we obviously have the coaches. For the coaches, we were very clear to say, we're bringing you an access to a market, a captive market. And in fact, it's so interesting because before COVID, the coaches didn't understand that actually you could engage with members virtually. There was all this need around, you've got to be physically present with them. And we were really I think COVID accelerated their ability to adopt our product. And so we bring coaches on board, and our agreement with them, because we really also want to democratize success for women. We've said, we've brought their prices down with a promise to them around we're bringing an access to market. So it's a price point that makes sense in terms of our ability to scale that. How we look for coaches, first of all, that have ICF accreditation, firstly, and then secondly, our coaches take our growth index. So only those that are in the driving growth zone are onboarded, because we really care about coaches having brand permission to work with our members. That's the coach network, and how we onboard them. Really, we target certain individuals. I will share our coach profiles with you. We've really got impressive coaches that have been senior in corporates that are, first of all, intrigued by the model and care about how they can share their wisdom with those that have walked before them. So we've got a really amazing coach network that is global, that really looks to enable our business model. Then in terms of our relationship with EXO Works. So EXO Work, founded by Salim Ismail, where we do these innovation sprints. So part of the journey, once we're transforming our members, we then provide them with an opportunity to really understand how to drive innovation in their organizations, finding those opportunities, creating sponsorship, and having them bring those about and drive through to implementations. Those that do get approved, obviously it's got to be with how do they really solve the problem for the business they work in. So the EXO Work also is a cost model for us in our business model. And obviously our talent that we look to recruit as well into the business. We really want to have a big analytics team as well as a behavioral experts in the business.
Yeah. Okay, got it.
And then the 24 members, we've said to corporates, we're trying to create critical mass. And so at a minimum in your organization, you have to identify 24 women that really can put on this program at a minimum. Okay. And that has been received quite well as well, because we're not going to get the traction with just one woman, one day. We're really about how do we really close the economic gender gap, leveraging our technology.
Okay. That's very interesting. And those 24 members that you say they must select, are you prescriptive on whether it must be executive level or sort of across the board? It's just needs analysis. It all just comes from the clients. Okay.
It comes from the organization. It could be based on where their strategy sits.
Right.
Some organizations have said we want to sign on our CEOs that sit in Africa, and connect them with other women. Some organizations say, you know what, we really have this missing middle. Yep. With the pipeline, and so we want to focus more on our junior staff. But for us, the model works across different levels, because we work for all women that are in organizations.
Very flexible. Love it.
Yes.
Okay.
Fantastic. Just one more question from me, Kele.
Yes.
You obviously, within your model, you're addressing the corporates and accessing the women through those corporates. Is it part of your strategy to also actually open it up to individual women that might not be able to access it through the corporate, but obviously want to of their own volition?
Yes, that is the journey that we definitely are traveling. I mean, we are excited about how do we democratize success for women, and not all women are in corporate, and so. Definitely our model is open to B2B and B2C, but first of all, in terms of our go-to-market, focusing on B2B. And one of the things that we were really quite humbled on when I left Accenture said, this is something that really we need, and we want to see how we can drive this across our offices. So really humbled by that response. But I deeply care about all women succeeding, whether they're in corporate or not.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Mel, we need to hand back to you. You're in the driver's seat.
So I don't know if you've got any more questions, Kelly. If not, we can, or any of there's no more questions coming in from the live stream. I think well done to everyone. And thank you very much for the judges and for your time for doing this. Any final comments from anyone?
No, I guess closing remarks on my side. Really, I was very impressed to see the quality of the presentations by all women, and and also just the quality of the problems that that each startup is looking to solve. They're not vitamins. They're actually like really looking to. They're really looking like they're painkiller type startups. So honestly, thank you for taking the time and just the quality of your presentations today. I was highly impressed. So yeah, congratulations to all the ladies today.
Thank you very much
Melissa,
for you
just come
as
in.
well, for the judges, for your time. Yes.
Okay. All right. Now, I just wanted to say, I think what's quite humbling for me is the fact that all the women that we had today are really speaking to solving issues that we as women in tech are also really passionate about, really accelerating women and making sure that we can introduce women to more solutions. And Grace, a big up and thank you to you and Lauren for joining us and really just ensuring that the mission of what Women in Tech stand for is getting accelerated. So we're happy. Really impressive. Thank you.
Absolutely. I think just a shout out to Lauren for your generosity of the gifts to the participants, Grace for obviously bringing it to the South African context, and we look forward to seeing what Plug and Play is going to be doing. And really, Mel, thank you for arranging and organizing it and being the brains behind putting it all together and consolidating us. So a big shout out to you, and thank you to everybody that's participated and joined in, and for your questions and conversation and your ongoing support. Thank you.
So thank you. That's the end of this broadcast. It is recorded, so we will send it out to you to view at a later stage. So if you missed anything, and obviously any questions can also be directed to the Women in Tech, and we will make sure that the right people get those questions for you answered. But thank you very much. I think it was a great success, and well done again to all the companies.
Yay. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.